I don't think I need to make the case that we have a significant challenge still on our hands. And I'm going to skip over this video. I'm going to skip this video that just explains exposure. I'm assuming this crowd understands the idea of, with PTSD, helping people to go back and confront and process difficult emotional memories, but in a safe environment. Similar to the phobia work, you do it in VR, and as a person does it, they feel anxiety while they're doing it. But they also start to feel empowered because they're facing things they thought they never could face. They're talking about things with their therapists that they haven't talked to anybody about. So let me just show a collection of videos of the type of content. Over the years it's evolved. We have 14 different worlds that represent different contexts in which someone was traumatized in Iraq or Afghanistan. The clinician can control in real time the time of day, the sound effects, if an explosion occurs, if there's people in the crowd.
Like going through it there, it's not going through my head at night when I'm trying to sleep or when I'm with my wife, when times when I don't want it to come up and me start thinking about it. Traumatic things are not normal. You cannot handle the things that you've seen and done. And this is a tool that has helped me out tremendously.
Reliving the worst moments of his life has helped him to move on with his life.
I'm probably about 80% of who I was before I left. But I think that's pretty good after seeing and doing the things that we've done.
For Nightline, this is Dan Harris in Atlanta.
And aside from the idea of the clinical efficacy, this system's gone out to about 100 sites thus far. And a lot of times clinicians who are operating the system in real time, actually Wizard of Oz, creating the experience around the patient's narrative. A lot of times patient says, I feel like you understand my situation better because you're creating it as I speak and you're seeing it. And so aside from the efficacy issue, I think you're building a level of empathy with your clients that they understand each other. Because a lot of times working with vets, if you're not a vet, they don't take you seriously. So anyway. So some data. First clinical trial actually done here at the San Diego Naval Medical Center and at Camp Pendleton. Pre, post, 3-month follow-up. That's the individual data points. 16 no longer met PTSD criteria at the end of treatment. 4 did not benefit. Another study following up, same pattern of results, strong effect size. Another study done in an intensive format, a 3-week intensive treatment where VR exposure was done in the morning and in the afternoon. A range of psychosocial clinical applications were done with clients. So you see that maybe this is more a reflection of commitment, somebody willing to go for 3 weeks to a place and really deal with their PTSD. They want to get over it. So that's a very strong, that's a 2.06 effect size. It's very strong. Another study out of Emory University showing progressive gains even after the treatment at 6 months and at 1 year follow-up with large sample size, 156. Also from that study, we're seeing physiological markers, in this case, startle response dropping off over time, one of the key symptoms, the hyperarousal component of PTSD, as well cortisol reactivity being reduced over time. So we're going beyond just self-report. We're trying to measure some objective physiological measures. Now, we've also done an expansion of this now where we're addressing military sexual trauma. Now, just want to, the caveat here, we're not creating virtual sexual assaults. We're creating the context that sexual assault survivors report these events happening to them. And so, built out a lot of civilian content because even though our focus is on the military, they funded the project. Most sexual trauma in the military is not happening in the trenches of Afghanistan. It's happening around Camp Pendleton and around US bases. So that's a project that just recently got started. We've got 8 clients going through the initial feasibility trial. This is from the first 6 clients. So you can see the reduction thus far. If this holds up with a larger sample, I think we'll be in good shape that this could be translated quite easily to the civilian population. And that is our goal. I think probably some of the problems that we see with law enforcement and first responders, I think a lot of that is PTSD, emotional numbing, hypervigilance, quick startle response. you know, let's face it, it's an urban battlefield out there for police officers. They're confronted with trauma on a daily basis. I think it's almost unethical not to pay more attention to their needs. We pay a lot of attention to veterans, yes, that's another thing we must do. But I think we got to take a closer look at doing a better job with law enforcement, first responders, victims of terrorist attack, and so on. I want to thank Dell, AMD, and